I said, well, you're gonna have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there. He immediately put me in cuffs. As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence. And once I jumped it, I went to my son's class. I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, hey, they're already bulge cutting the fence to get me. She's like, you think we have time to get out? I said, y'all have time, son.
Her frustration is what's reverberating across this community at this point. And she also told me that, you know, she's on probation for some charges from about a decade ago, and that she received a call from someone in law enforcement telling her that if she keeps talking to media, or if she, you know, keeps sharing her story, that she might face some kind of violation for obstruction of justice. So she was holding back from sharing her story until now because a judge told her that she was brave and that her probation would be shortened. So that gave her the courage to talk to us. Her uncle's the one who called me and said, you have to hear her story.
Yeah, the story of Angeli Rose Gomez, who ran into the school we talked about a few weeks ago in Uvalde as those kids were left to themselves with that gunman inside, broke free from the cops, saved two of her two sons from the school, and ever since, it's gotten worse. Yes, the update to the story is it's gotten worse. From the same police department who's been catching hell over their response, their now response to the response, and actually her being out in front of media and cameras is to be even worse. Let's go to some details of what's going on here, because after she escaped those cuffs and jumped over the fence and saved her two sons, she's now still going after the police department. Ever since that harrowing day, Gomez says that she's faced scrutiny from law enforcement, even at her own home. The other night we were exercising and we had a cop parked at the corner, like flickering us with his headlights. So also because of these incidents, Gomez says that she's had to separate from her boys just so my sons don't feel that they have to watch cops passing by, stopping, and parking. So apparently to a certain degree, the police officer's response to her then telling her truth and trying to have some kind of accountability for what they've done or didn't do, they're actually gonna try and come after more with these harassment, these accusations of harassment from her. More on this, because she's, as I said, she's relentless. That's their problem. Earlier on Saturday, Gomez went to Uvalde's town square to continue protesting with other members of the community, with signs in hands that read, "Fire Pete Arredondo." Gomez said that she wants to see Arredondo gone without pay. And her goal moving forward is to file a lawsuit about this as well. Her lawyer, who was sitting next to her during this interview, Mark DiCarlo, a criminal defense lawyer from Corpus Christi, said the fact that he wasn't fired immediately based on whatever it is, hours of video from testimony such as Angeli's, is an indication that there's some sort of corruption or wrongdoing. Also, lastly, from that, her attorney there, he told me that he's currently representing about 15 parents from the Uvalde community. And when asked when lawsuits will be filed, he said he wants to focus on gathering evidence and information before rushing to file lawsuits. And it's fine with me, gather your evidence, but it's looking like a part of this might be gather some evidence. I wish he would record maybe the harassing actions that are being taken against her and her family, and now in her separation from her sons in order to protect them even further. We've got this situation now. And I don't know how many other parents that are upset and saying things and maybe aren't getting the camera time are also being harassed, but the cover up is in full defense mode now, Waz.
Yeah, these guys, as the days go on, just continue to not exactly cover themselves in glory. As the kids say, they got a lot of smoke for parents. But when there was a crazed gunman literally massacring children, innocent children, they didn't have all of this courage and heroics. And yeah, these are just not the actions of quote unquote heroes. Intimidating parents, harassing parents, just because they're angry because of the terrible things that happened. This is just a bad look. And like I said, this is Uvalde, Texas is a middle of nowhere town in Texas. These guys are obviously some bad news bears cops. They're not exactly, RoboCops or super cops over there, and they just look pathetic. That's really all I got for these brothers.
Isn't that crazy though? Look, your energy goes to doing things like this. allegedly, to this mother who saved her sons, when your energy could have gone to maybe doing your job in the first place. Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah, it's scary. That's why when you become a cop, there's supposed to be this respect for you, just like firefighters who also don't always do the right things either. But you're supposed to have respect because you do things that others won't do. But when you don't, and then all your actions go to covering it up and harassing people who are calling you out for not doing your job, especially when it comes to children, maybe use that energy for something else. And again, I want to stress it one more time. Her 2 sons were still victims of that shooting. Do you think they're never gonna? You think they're gonna forget what they went through, even though they weren't killed? And I don't want to go to the details of what happened to a lot of these kids, but they also were a part of it. Afterwards, now the next step is cops. So when these kids are 18 years old, forget it. When these kids are 14 years old, 16 years old, how much do you think they're gonna trust the cops? And after they don't trust the cops, we're gonna complain and say, how dare these people raise their children to call cops pigs? Cops harassed them since they were children after coming from a harrowing experience like this. I think that might be the reason they might not have positive thoughts about the cops. Just think about it.